Kaiser Wilhelm arrived at 6 o'clock. He was most affable and sympathetic, and thinks it would be an excellent idea to have a German princess as future Empress of Russia. All the English and German relatives give me their good wishes. Yesterday, at the instance of Willie, the whole family was photographed in the garden. This morning, Wilhelm had a talk with Alex while I stayed in the next room.
Nicky! Go and talk to her.
No.
Faint heart never won fair lady.
Dearest Nicky, since you were good enough to express your unmitigated delight and pleasure with the last painting I sent you, I'm sending you another one. I designed it myself. It was executed, of course, by Herr Knackfuss, our court painter. I can't tell you how admiring he was of my design. It represents you and me standing sentinel over the apostles of the true gospel in the Far East. For that is clearly your great task of the future, to cultivate the Asian continent and to defend Europe from the inroads of the great yellow race. In this, you will always find me by your side, ready to help you as best I can. 2 days ago, I got a report that the Japs are clandestinely arming the Chinese behind our backs. They are sure to rouse Chinese hopes and inflame hatred against the white race in general, and will constitute a grave danger to your rear in case you should have to face a Jap adventure on the seashore. Begging your pardon for the liberty I have taken, I hope the Admiral of the Pacific will not be angry with the Admiral of the Atlantic's signals, who is always on the lookout on your behalf. Ta-ta! Best love to Alex from your devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
Admiral of the Atlantic. Where are we going to put it? I really don't like it, Nicky. It's worse than the others.
I'll find a corner for it.
How many more is he going to send? Can't you tell him we have enough?
Well, it's a bit difficult.
I wouldn't mind, you know, if he only represented himself on them, but why does he have to include you?
Come in.
What? All of it? All of it. The whole squadron?
The whole squadron.
Including the flagship?
Including the flagship. Including the Admiral.
Including the Admiral.
All at the bottom of the sea.
Those little yellow men. Don't wait upon formalities, do they? Well, Russia will have to send out the Baltic fleet to reinforce what is left in the Pacific.
They'll have to go halfway around the world to get there.
Yes, well, we'll offer to coal it. We can do that?
It'll annoy the British.
Sink the British. Japanese are their allies, not mine.
Still, there are questions of neutrality.
My dear Boulot, there may be questions of neutrality for you, but monarchs must stick together. I see this. I see this as far more than just a little war 8,000 miles away. This will be the decisive battle between Christianity and Buddhism, between Western civilization and Eastern semi-civilization. It will be the battle I so prophetically delineated in my painting. Our sympathies must be with Russia. It is vital that the Baltic fleet sail and wrest the mastery of the sea from the Japanese, and I shall write and tell him so.
Well, Your Majesty, I don't quite see it as strongly as that.
What is the object of German diplomacy at the present moment?
To secure the peace of Europe.
Oh, well, that's everybody's object. No. Our real object is to separate Russia from France. If we can accomplish that, we will never have to fight a war on two fronts. Therefore, we must encourage the Tsar. If he wins, he'll thank us, and if he loses, he'll need us. Either way, the French will be exposed for the fair weather friends they always have been.
Your Majesty, if we could get the Russians to sign a treaty with us.
That would be far more difficult. French would raise hell with the Russians if they did.
But if we could persuade the Russians to sign first, wouldn't the French have to fall into line?
Leave it to me.
Well, now, I think these things are best done through normal diplomatic channels.
Why?
Well, since the Foreign Office is not allowed to edit Your Majesty's correspondence,
Shouldn't dream of it.
then it makes it very hard to set the official seal on Your Majesty's efforts.
Well, do as you like. I must dress in 5 minutes.
I'll convey your wishes to the Foreign Minister.
Dearest Nicky, the outbreak of hostilities has had sad consequences for your brave navy, which have deeply moved me. How could it be otherwise, seeing that I am a Russian admiral, and proud of this rank, too? I can well imagine how sore your heart must feel that all your pains to secure peace were of no avail. I had an interesting conversation about the war with the French military attaché.
I told him I thought it astounding that the French have not sent their fleet down to keep Port Arthur open till you send the Baltic fleet, which I'm sure you will send out soon, thus restoring to you the command of the sea. I pray heaven may shield and protect you and all your family through coming times. Warmest love to Alex and your mother from your most devoted friend and cousin, Willie.
I'm sending you another painting executed by Herr Knackfuss, but designed by myself, since you were kind enough to say how much you liked the last one. It's meant to be allegorical and shows what the combined might of Russia and Germany could achieve. What a brave sight your Baltic fleet must be making on its long journey to the Pacific. And what a fuss the English are making over the incident at the Dogger Bank. It was perfectly natural for your admiral to mistake those English fishing smacks for Japanese gunboats. His broadside salvos just show how alert he was. Of course, the English will make of it what they can. It seems to me that if you and I were to stand shoulder to shoulder in the face of English and Japanese arrogance, France would have to join us by virtue of her obligations to you. Ta-ta. With best love to Alex, your devoted friend and cousin, Willie, Admiral of the Atlantic.
The only way, as you say, would be that Germany, Russia, and France should at once unite upon arrangements to abolish English and Japanese arrogance. Would you like to lay down and frame the outlines of such a treaty? As soon as it's accepted by us, France is bound to join us.
And what a coup that would be.
Didn't I say there might be some value in monarch speaking to monarch?
I'll deal with it at once.
Draw it up yourself. Let's keep the Foreign Office out of it. Germany, Austria, Russia, and France. Even Bismarck never thought of that one.
Dearest Nicky.
Virtually the whole Baltic fleet sunk without trace. 8 battleships, 7 cruisers, 6 destroyers. A journey of 18,000 miles, taking 6 months to complete, and the Russian fleet ends at the bottom of the sea within an hour of reaching the Straits of Tsushima. The war is over.
This is it, then? This is the moment to catch him. He'll be in the doldrums. Poor Nicky. But it's right. Germany and Russia, it's right. I shall invite him to meet me at my hunting lodge. Just the two of us, no ministers, nothing. I shall begin by reminding him how France, his ally, has done nothing whilst we have done all. And then... And then, my dear Bülow, the talk turned to England and how the French have flirted outrageously with her. The Tsar hung down his head dejectedly and said, "That is too bad. What shall I do in this disagreeable situation?" I felt then that the moment had come. I reminded him of that draft treaty we had discussed a few months ago. "Oh, yes, to be sure," he said. "I remember it well, but I've forgotten the contents of it. What a pity I haven't got it here." "I possess a copy," I said, "which by an extraordinary chance I happen to have in my pocket." He caught me by the hand. "Show it to me, please," he said, and his dreamy eyes lit up. I drew the envelope from my pocket and laid it before the Tsar. He read it quickly. I sent up a fervent prayer to the good God that he would be with us in this moment and guide the young monarch right. Then the Tsar looked up and said quietly, "This is quite excellent. I quite agree." My heart beat so hard I could hear it, but I pulled myself together and said quite casually, "Should you like to sign it? It would be a very nice souvenir of our meeting." He ran his eyes over the document again, and then he said, "Yes, I will." I flung back the cover of the inkstand, handed him the pen, and he wrote in a firm hand, "Nicholas." I signed my name under his. He folded me in his arms and said, "I thank God and I thank you." Bright tears stood in my eyes. It was an historic occasion. I don't understand it, that's all. Not only do I not understand it, I don't agree with it.
If Your Majesty tried to understand it, you might find yourself able to agree with it.
I'll tell you what I do understand, Prince von Bülow. For 20 years, at the request of my ministers, I have paid court to the Sultan of Turkey. I've flattered him. I've made speeches to him. I've listened to his horrible jokes in his horrible German. Now you tell me he's no longer important.
He is less important.
Because the Austrian alliance has suddenly become more important?
If Austria makes war on Serbia, Russia will come to the aid of the Serbs.
They'll be like two old ladies shaking their umbrellas at each other.
Russia is not prepared for war. The French will have to come to her aid. In that event, it seems to be vital that we should have no doubt in London or Paris as to where we stand. I find it very difficult to conduct this conversation while Your Majesty is so absorbed in slaughtering chickens.
You've had your holiday.
I cut it short to return here because of the crisis.
Then it's a pity you didn't cut it short earlier. I might then have had the benefit of your advice when Isfolsky was here. As it is, I had to tell him we'd do what we could to calm things down in Vienna.
We'll do what we feel is necessary.
If you want my frank opinion, I think Aehrenthal behaved like a damned fool.
I agree. You should have consulted us. But the situation has gone too far for recriminations. We shall have to support him up to the hilt.
That may mean war?
We're ready for it if it comes. Our talks with the Austrian High Command are well advanced.
And what about England?
Well, we can't be sure what England will do, but it's of no consequence. Their army would have no impact on the continent of Europe.
That's true. They couldn't even win the Boer War properly. Do you know, I told Uncle Bertie how to conduct that campaign, and he just laughed.
It's understood, then, that we give our full support to Austria?
Well, if we must support them, we must. Whatever we do, Germany will get the blame. Everybody always blames Germany, which of course means me. Blame the Kaiser. That's the game everybody knows.
After 6 decades of beneficent rule, it has pleased the Almighty to call my exalted uncle, His Majesty and King Franz Joseph, to a higher station. Rent with anguish, pain, no, anguish. The hearts of our people stand beside his final resting place, ever grateful for his fatherly love, his sublime spiritual values, his ever-present sense of duty, his goodness and passion for peace. It will be our task to pursue the aims of our late great emperor and to continue his noble life's work to keep the peace. Ever to keep the peace. Ever. Always provided that neither existence nor honor of the monarchy is threatened.
Very good.
And to dedicate our life exclusively to the welfare of our peoples. We shall show the same love to all our peoples, regardless of class, faith, and religion.
Legally recognized religion, perhaps.
A good point, Willie. Yes. Yes, legally recognized religion. High or low, rich or poor, before our throne, all will be regarded as equals. In fraternal love, the people of the monarchy, bound together by tradition.
You don't exaggerate, Franz. You really do have the most beautiful roses in Europe. Do go on.
That's all for the moment. I intend to round off the text when, well...
When the tragic event occurs.
Quite. To write the final draft at this point before might to some appear,
Tactless.
callous.
Oh, my dear friend, your uncle is 84. Thank you. It's perfectly correct to be prepared for the worst.
And you really think this text adequate?
More than adequate. Well, perhaps a few ingratiating phrases such as holding on to what we have, whatever the cost, they like that sort of thing, you know.
And the mob?
As ruler of Germany, I've never found it disadvantageous to be popular with the mob.
Surely, Willie. Popularity cannot be the first prerequisite of the monarch. No. An emperor needs to be feared. I shall expect my orders to be carried out, not discussed. Uncle has sacrificed everything to be popular, to be liked. And the result? Crumbling empire.
Quite. Even so.
Unfortunately, Willie, to be ingratiating is not a gift which the good Lord has seen fit to bestow upon me in a very generous measure.
Oh, well, you underestimate yourself, Franz. Surely with a wife as charming as the Princess von Hohenburg.
Oh, my dear Willie, nothing, but nothing during your visit here has given me greater pleasure than the affectionate respect which you've shown my darling Soph.
Oh, but the Archduchess is absolutely delightful in every way. I insist that you bring her with you to Berlin when you next visit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no.
You can't imagine the humiliations to which Uncle continues to subject me.
His Majesty is obsessed with protocol.
No, he hates Sophie. He wants to wound her. He won't address a civil word to her. He calls her the scullery maid behind my back.
Incredible.
And yet, the most intelligent thing I ever did in my life was to marry my darling soul. Well, you've seen for yourself. She's everything to me. Wife, advisor, doctor, my entire happiness. Oh, my dear Willie, your kind words have given me new courage. With Sophie by my side, and you, a trusted friend and ally, we shall move mountains.
Yes, indeed. Meanwhile, your uncle is in perfect health.
Yes, but...
May I?
Oh, of course.
I see that recently in Parliament you've been referred to as His Majesty's loyal opposition. Now, tread carefully, my boy, step by step.
Oh, they're all on my side, Willie, all of them. Conrad is in my pocket, the rest will follow. They know, you see, that in a year or two, it is me they will have to deal with.
In a year or two?
Oh, you're quite right, of course. Oh. As usual, yes, I am too impulsive. One never can be quite sure whom to trust. One is surrounded by sycophants. At first sight, everyone one meets appears to be angelic. And then too late, one finds one has been too trusting.
Trust your own divine intelligence, Franz. And remember, the major task for our two empires, mine and soon yours...
My first major task, Willie, will be to unite all the nationalities in my empire behind me. Now, Uncle's present dualism of Austria-Hungary cannot be allowed to continue now. We must create a third member state embracing all our Slav peoples. Here, let me show you. The Slavs, the Serbs, the Croats. Eventually, we will create a genuine federation of the Central European states like the United States of America.
This is tasks for tomorrow, Franz. Our first duty must be, as emperors, to uphold the principles of monarchy. Habsburgs, Hohenzollerns, Romanovs. We are the only real bulwark against the rising tides of liberalism, democracy, and worse. That bulwark must come first.
To be sure, really. Precisely what Uncle believes. Only the vital...
The progress, of course, is vital. I am, as you know, a dedicated reformer. Without doubt, the most progressive ruler in Europe.
No one would deny that.
But progress, my friend, must be tempered by strength. You don't really imagine, do you, that those Slavs of yours are going to be fobbed off with the carrot of a little independence within your empire? They want more, Franz, and still more. And then they'll go looking for support beyond your frontiers. Fortunately, Russia can help only with words. So you keep them in their place, those little flag-waving minorities of yours. That's my advice to you. Believe me, the only language those Serbian dervishes understand, the iron fist.
Imperial Majesty, Your Imperial Highness, luncheon is served.
What's that? Excellent play act as the Italian soldiery, eh?
I did enjoy it.
Most entertaining, I thought, and enlightening.
I already prophesied a great future for the Knesset when I was visiting New York.
Did you indeed?
Sophie would also enjoy the spectacle, I'm sure.
I'm sure her cold will be better in the morning.
No doubt, no doubt. Diplomatic colds usually clear up overnight.
Your wife is a member of the family circle. That is a matter of principle. You will appreciate, however, that it is difficult to reconcile her presence with long-established protocol and functions of this nature. sire. My best wishes for your hunting expedition tomorrow.
What's the delay, Codwitz?
Your Royal Highness, Your Imperial Majesty.
It's quite intolerably hot, Codwitz. You're aware that I can't stand the heat. Makes me ill.
The hottest summer for 32 years, Your Royal Highness.
You can't change the weather, Codwitz, but you can produce the quarry. Kindly do so. Well, Domfield, what is it now? From Colonel Bardolph? Your Royal Highness' departure from Bosnia after the maneuvers will now have to be advanced by an hour. Incredible. Otherwise, it will be impossible to make the proper train connections. Kindly inform Colonel Bardolph at my chancellery that should he further spoil our taste for our Bosnian journey by these constant inconveniences, he can hold his maneuvers without me. And tell him further that I've decided to set a day aside, June the 28th, for a reception at Sarajevo. This, inform the Colonel, has nothing to do with him. It will be a purely private, non-military affair with a lady present who deserves some recognition. Understood? That'll show these Bosnian idiots.
Sarajevo. On June the 28th. That's the Serbs' national holiday.
Exactly, Billy. I intend to show Uncle once and for all that when I go out to the provinces, I shall do exactly as I please.
Brave man.
I trust in God. Really? Well, Codwitz! The rabbits, man! The rabbits!
Here they come. Oh, the left sleeve longer. 3,5 centimeters. No, 4. No, 4,5 centimeters. Yeah, good, good. And now for the Reichschancellor.
Imperial Majesty.
Yes, Pittman Holwick.
Your Majesty, His Excellency, the Austrian ambassador has just arrived for the déjeuner.
Good, good. We'll lunch then.
Have I permission to place before His Majesty the note which has just arrived from our ambassador in Vienna?
Oh, yes, yes. Let's see it. Count Chesky really must be reminded to express himself more briefly.
Well, if I have your Imperial Majesty's permission to summarize.
Yes.
His Excellency frequently hears the wish expressed in governing circles in Vienna that a final and fundamental reckoning with Serbia...
I should think so, Chancellor. What? Now or never?
However, His Excellency's personal view, which he has expressed in conversations in Vienna...
Personal view.
For the view that Serbia might, in the first place, be presented with a note listing certain demands.
To authorize Chesky to express his personal view to the Austrian court.
If His Imperial Majesty will permit. Count Chesky believes that only if the Serbs fail to meet such demands as may be submitted, should energetic measures be adopted.
What? Huh? I take every opportunity to advise them against too hasty action. None of his damn business. Whatever action the Austrians take will be decided upon by His Apostolic Majesty Franz Joseph. It's absolutely monstrous. Tell Chersky to be good enough to stop all this weak-kneed nonsense. If anything should go wrong, they'll all say that Germany was afraid to act. These Serbian savages must be disposed of. Is that clear? Eliminated at once. Well, now I'm ready to see His Excellency, the Austrian ambassador.
At Imperial
At once.
Imperial Majesty. Reichschancellor.
Excellency.
Appalling news, Excellency, appalling. In the name of Germany, allow me to express our most sincere condolences. The Archduke was my very dear friend. But somebody will pay for this cowardly act of murder, on that you may rely.
Deeply touched, Imperial Majesty. In the name of His Imperial and Royal Majesty, whose personal note I...
Yes, it was received and read and discussed exhaustively with my Chancellor. Our absolute support of the Austrian cause remains a matter of honor.
Imperial Majesty is too kind.
Yes, but we go further. We would view with extreme concern any further delay in punishing the Serbs.
Imperial Majesty, my Emperor is no doubt hesitating, rather reviewing the situation with a view to possible Russian reactions.
Russia is in no position to take any military actions, and my cousin the Tsar will certainly think twice before provoking me. And he would certainly not wish to align himself with this pathetic rabble of assassins.
After their disastrous little Japanese adventure, Excellency, the Russians would hardly venture to...
Quite. And as for the French, totally unprepared to my certain knowledge. No heavy artillery, correct?
Imperial Majesty.
Which leaves us to consider our English cousins, Bateman Holweg.
The English, thanks to the wisdom of Majesty's policy, can no longer boast of naval supremacy.
You see.
In case, now that is to say, should the worst at any time come to the worst where England is concerned...
What?
Fortunately, Excellency, the English are likely for an unforeseeable period to remain preoccupied with the vexed problem of Ireland.
Imperial Majesty, am I to understand that His Imperial Majesty is saying...
I am saying, Excellency, that by now your armies could have been in occupation of Belgrade. And that would have been the end of the affair. No one would have dared to interfere. As all Europe knows, I am, first and foremost, a man of peace. But there are limits. I am not entirely naive as to the consequences of war. But even you, Excellency, will agree, will you not, that there does come a time when a great power, Austria-Hungary, can no longer merely stand by, but must reach for the sword.
But Imperial Majesty...
So, convey my deepest personal regard to your Emperor. We consider our part in this affair to be now at an end. And now luncheon. Tomorrow we are leaving for Kiel. Do you enjoy the sport of yachting, Excellency?
Well...
Ah, pity. Weather looks promising. And if the Tsar can see fit to take himself on holiday at a time like this, I feel honor bound to do the same. Oh, courage, Excellency, courage. The wind is in our favor. All is well.
After 2.5 years, the most devastating war the world had ever known reached a stalemate, and the casualties on both sides were close on 12 million dead. To the Allies, the supreme warlord of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II, was portrayed as a foul monster, a living symbol of German aggression. In reality, he was a man older than his 59 years, tired and beaten by events which had escalated far beyond his ability to control. A sick, ailing Kaiser whose grip upon his country's destiny was slipping rapidly through his fingers. He had made his supreme headquarters at the great country house of Pless. His Chancellor, Bettmann Hollweg, Field Marshal von Hindenburg, his Chief of Staff, General Ludendorff, and Admiral von Holzendorff await his decisions on policy and strategy.
Field Marshal.
Your Imperial Majesty.
General.
Majesty.
Admiral.
Majesty.
And Bettmann Hollweg.
Your Majesty.
Well, what instructions do you have for me this time?
With respect, sir, we are here to present to Your Majesty the present situation as we see it, and to seek Your Majesty's advice.
I didn't want this war. I was not even responsible for its declaration. This war is decimating our youth, it's crippling our economy. Our whole nation, gentlemen, is crying out for peace.
Peace, Your Majesty, can only be achieved by absolute and complete victory.
At the cost of how many more German soldiers' lives, General?
We are fighting a war on two fronts, gentlemen. We have the enemy before us and at our rear. British blockade has us on the brink of starvation.
There is a limit to which may push a nation, gentlemen.
If this war is not soon ended, it will be the German people telling us what to do, not the other way around.
As you are aware, Majesty, I have explored every possibility of a peaceful settlement of this war. Without success, the Allies have rejected our proposals out of hand.
The Allies. I have one cousin who is King of England, another Tsar of Russia. You would have thought, wouldn't you, that between the three of us... I sometimes think that Nicky and George conspire against me. I tell you, gentlemen, if my grandmother was still alive today, she would never have allowed this.
From a purely military point of view, Your Majesty, our armies and the enemy's can hold their positions on the Western Front indefinitely. It is time we had a radical reappraisal of our strategy.
Indeed.
For with every day that passes, the enemy grows stronger by building up supplies, raw materials, food.
Within 6 days, Majesty, I can have 6 flotillas of U-boats commanding the sea lanes of the North Atlantic. I give you my word, Majesty, that the German Navy will bring England to her knees within 4 months.
And America into the war within 4 weeks.
Possibly, Your Majesty. We must be prepared for that threat.
You make all these proposals, gentlemen, but it is I who must accept responsibility for the final decisions. It's too much for any one man.
With the utmost respect, you have not heard all our proposals. As Your Majesty rightly pointed out, we are fighting a war on 2 fronts. The Russian front must be eliminated.
Do you think, Field Marshal, in the years that you were a general in the field and knew nothing of what was going on behind the scenes in the Wilhelmstrasse, that I was not conscious of that fact?
We are all deeply sensible of your foresight, Majesty. With Russia out of the war, I can release 122 divisions from the east, more than doubling our strength on the Western Front and enabling us to mount a major offensive. Eh, Ludendorff?
A breakthrough. Complete victory.
But have I not, Chancellor, again and again tried to get my cousin Nicky to sign a separate peace treaty with the Central Powers? I have personally, in writing, guaranteed that every single German soldier will be taken from Russian soil in return for a guarantee of a separate peace. Now, you don't know my cousin, Field Marshal, is as stubborn as he is treacherous.
With respect, Majesty, I am confident that there are other means of detaching Russia from her commitment to the Western Allies. In Russia, there are certain disruptive groups.
Every week I hear the same thing. Russia is on the verge of a civil war. Her army is on the brink of mutiny. That we should try to win this war by encouraging a Bolshevik revolution in Russia is sheer insanity. If we should succeed, what then? We should have an armed Bolshevik nation on our doorstep. Out of an enemy, we would create a monster.
If your Imperial Majesty will not make some decision, then an armies might well retire from the field before another drop of German blood is shed. We must either fight this war to win or sue for peace at any price.
Oh, very well. But I place the responsibility for this on your shoulders, gentlemen. Very well. Admiral, you may have your unrestrained submarine warfare. And the day hostilities cease on the Eastern Front, Ludendorff, you may have your complete victory. What dreadful tea this is. Where does it come from nowadays?
Our own reports from Russia indicate that there is increasing disaffection with the war and that the Bolsheviks are demanding an end to hostilities.
I've always assured you, Chancellor, that should the Bolsheviks come to power, Russia will be out of the war.
Quite.
But they are urgently in need of organizers and political agitators. And the most experienced of these are exiled abroad, mostly in Switzerland.
Then the sooner they're in Russia, the better.
The only problem is how. They will not be permitted to travel through Italy or France. The Allies are not likely to encourage a Bolshevik revolution.
Then they must be transported through Germany.
It is the only way, Chancellor.
That, too, presents certain problems. Majesty, I did not expect your
I'm
Majesty.
sure you didn't, Bateman Holweg. And who is this?
This is Dr. Helphunt, Majesty, our principal contact with the Bolshevik revolutionaries in Russia. We were discussing means
I am well aware of what you are discussing, Chancellor. I am not utterly without sources of information in my government.
I assure your Majesty there was nothing secret in our discussion. It is a matter of transporting certain revolutionaries in Switzerland across Germany into Russia, Majesty, with your Majesty's permission.
Did you really imagine, Doctor, that we would willingly give our permission for the encouragement of a Bolshevik revolution in Russia?
But I had been given to understand, Majesty.
We have no intention of building up a power which could one day destroy us.
The Bolsheviks want only peace, Majesty.
On whose terms?
That must be a matter for negotiation, Majesty.
Any peace treaty will not be signed on their terms. Of that you may be assured.
I am confident that they are aware of that, Your Majesty.
We shall drive a very hard bargain, Doctor. One that even the Bolsheviks, however much they may desire peace, will find hard to swallow. Our interests in the wheat fields, the oil fields of Eastern Europe are very ambitious.
Their first consideration, Majesty, is peace. Without peace, there can be no revolution. I think you will find them willing to listen to reason.
And these Bolsheviks in Switzerland, by all accounts, an assorted lot. Are they reliable?
As far as I'm concerned, there is only one man that matters. He has been planning this revolution for 30 years. He is bitterly opposed to the war, and he has the support of the Bolsheviks, who, in turn, have many supporters in the army and navy.
Do you think that he will agree to this suggestion?
He is in a difficult position. Open support from the German government could politically be extremely embarrassing for him. But on the other hand, he is determined to return to Russia by any means he can.
And secrecy is most important.
It is imperative, Chancellor.
And you, Dr. Helphunt, what is your interest in this little plot?
I am a socialist, Your Majesty. I will be happy to have played any part in bringing about a socialist revolution in Russia.
A revolution which you hope will then spread all across Europe?
That, I fear, Majesty, is only a matter of time.
If the German military plight were not so serious, I would forbid any action of this kind.
And I have your Majesty's permission to proceed.
With the greatest reluctance. I tell you, if this scheme of yours succeeds, Bettenholweg, it will become something which Germany one day will live to regret.